tapping Corey King for the post. He's the fourth chancellor at Whitewater in recent years. Jim Henderson quit last spring. Dwight Watson left in 2021 after a cancer diagnosis. Before that, Beverly Copper left after her husband was investigated for sexual harassment. In sports, Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers tells the Pat McAfee podcast this week he needs time to think about his future. You're listening to Double Radio, 92.7 FM, WTTN, 1580 AM.
It's a new year, and because we're excited about our new and still growing Civic Media network of radio stations, it's time to do something really big. How does a $1 million advertising giveaway sound to you? Our celebration is your chance to work with Civic Media's amazing sales team, creating a radio advertising campaign promoting your business for free. Save the date. The $1 million advertising giveaway is only happening on Thursday, January 26th. Full details on our website, civicmedia.us/million.
They say they'll get your biggest tax refund. Jackson Hewitt says your biggest tax refund guaranteed, and a chance to double your tax refund. Thousands in weekly prizes during the Double Your Refund sweepstakes. Your biggest refund times 2, twice the money, so forget about them. File your taxes on the double at Jackson Hewitt today. No purchase necessary to enter or win. Open to U.S. residents 18 or older who file a 2022 federal tax return. Promotion ends 4/2/23. Visit jacksonhewitt.com for rules.
Hey, Darcy, I just saw the perfect house. Can you help me write an offer on it?
I'd be happy to, Brian. Did you see it at an open house?
No, I just called the sign and had the agent show it to me. I didn't want to bug you.
Right. How many times have you heard me say don't call the sign?
All of them.
You called the agent working for the seller, and once you see the property with that agent, I'm no longer free to write an offer on it.
So...
You need to hire us from the beginning, help you find the right home, negotiate on your behalf, and protect your interests all the way through the process, and it shouldn't cost you a dime.
Solidarity Realty. They're real, they're solid, and they're honest. Find them at solidarityrealty.com.
What is dedication?
I think a parent's job is to protect our children, but also prepare them for the world so they become good, kind human beings.
That's dedication. Find out more at fatherhood.gov.
The Devil's Advocates, political commentary from the back of the class.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, the Friday edition. We air the grievances up in here. Mine is apathy, political apathy. Get yourself educated. Tune in each and every day, only asking for a couple of hours. That's all it takes, right up in here. Get yourself the Civic Media app you can take us with. And hell, if you miss an episode, get the podcast, civicmedia.us. And Dom, 2 marches going on this Sunday, this weekend. One will be in Madison, Wisconsin. That's the Women's March. The other that will be in D.C., that's the pro-birth, anti-abortion march.
Oh, you mean the forced government birthing supporters? Yes.
There are a contrast between those two rules of thought. Here's a statement from the Pro-Life America Susan B. Anthony group, Katie Glenn. It took us 50 years to overturn Roe v. Wade in the United States Supreme Court. We're not going to get all these laws in effect in a day. Courts matter because they either become a veto on the legislature and invalidate the will of the people, or they can uphold these laws and say this is an issue for the elected branches. Very convenient how yes. So anyways, 2 marches are planned for this weekend on what it would have been the 50th anniversary of Roe v. Wade. This weekend, anti-abortion groups will march in Washington, D.C. on Friday. Sorry, not the same day. Hope you didn't miss it, boys and girls. And on Sunday, the Women's March will take place in Madison, Wisconsin, my hometown. Dom, I'm going to make time. Packers aren't playing. I'm going out to the Women's March this Sunday. Going to happen, I believe they're going to march up State Street to the Wisconsin Capitol. And you realize they're going to walk past the new world headquarters, Civic Media. We're going to be on the corner of Dayton and State Street. I'm going to be up there maybe in the window, and then I'll come down and see the the fine people and the clever signs and all that kind of stuff, Dom. And I hope that the great people of the state of Wisconsin feel some of the urgency that I do. Because I got a 28-year-old daughter. Why in the hell would she move back to Wisconsin to lose her right over her own ovaries? You know what I mean? If you can't take control over your own reproductive care, if you can't have an abortion, then why in the hell would she move home? They talk about keeping the kids here, keeping them on the farm. But why? Who in the hell wants to live under that sort of restrictive thing? I mean, you and I talk about things like legalize marijuana. We know the will of the people of Wisconsin's not being done, Dom. But oh my God, if you're a woman, you've lost control over your own body. And Republicans want us to think that that's okay, and they want us to go and vote for, one of the extremists, Doro or Kelly. You need to know these names, and you need to know the characters, and you need to know that you should be voting for either Everett Mitchell or Janet Protasewicz. And if you ever want to see this semi-fascism have a check from the courts, now would be a hell of a time to get up off your couch, get yourself educated, get involved, go knock some doors, put a yard sign, and of course, keep it locked to the Devil's Advocates.
Well, yes, and people look for, and I totally get it, immediate satisfaction, instant gratification, right? But we didn't get here overnight, and it's going to take a while to get out of this. And self-governance is not just a self-help tape where you play it and then it ends and then you move on with your day. It is a constant effort. It is part of life. If you are engaged, then you should be engaged in the entirety of, so long as your health holds out and you give a damn about your community, you give a damn about your family, you think people should have individual rights and privacy and those kinds of things and autonomy over their own bodies. I mean, these used to not be like crazy thoughts, but ultimately, if you look at the arc of history, it's been authoritarianism and violence and fascism. This experiment that we've done for a few hundred years is the exception to the rule. And one of the reason that it works is because it takes engagement. And when people are not engaged, then those that are have an outsized influence. And what have we had? And I've been guilty of this in my life. So we've all been there at times, and we prioritize. Some things may be more important to us at one time versus another, and I get that. So there's room to grow in this. We all have that. But these efforts don't automatically shift the light from red to green. This is an evolution and a gradual effort. And if you agree with Crudy and I and most reasonable people, then understand that the Republicans went through a very specific and private effort to gerrymander to the nth degree, to politically gerrymander to the nth degree. Cracking and stacking, don't know those terms? Look them up. Look what happened. Look how they worked with the law firms here in Wisconsin to get these district maps the way that they are. All right? That didn't happen overnight, and it's not going to be fixed overnight. But unless you feel like waiting another, 9 years? All right, this happens every 10 years, and we're a year in. Unless you're willing to wait that long, we got to get a non-conservative on the Wisconsin Supreme Court so we can get some cases in front of that Supreme Court, because this is, as far as I'm concerned, it's unconstitutional. You can't gerrymander for racial reasons. Why the hell should it be allowed for political reasons? But that's the conservative Supreme Court. That's how they ruled it. So now it comes down to us. You want to change it? It's not going to change overnight. The first step is in April to flip the Wisconsin Supreme Court, because then we have a chance. If that doesn't happen, then I don't know. I don't think there's a mathematical equation that could make the Democrats overperform to any degree that would make any legislative difference in the next 9 years. This is our chance. This is the opportunity. And that is why there is such a sense of urgency that we really need to focus in on and make sure everybody else understands.
And God forbid a Republican ever did win the state house, a fascist like Tim Michels, the Republican candidate here in the state of Wisconsin, during the election said, elect me, and there will always be Republican control. That is effectively what Scott Walker put into motion What was Act 10 called, Dom?
The bomb.
Yes. Another A for Dom. Few random trivia questions. I will take your random trivia questions at 844-967-2789. One last thought, and then to the phones. It's not going to happen overnight, be it the overturning of gerrymandering or perhaps an abortion ban, or maybe even Act 10, maybe even the bomb. Newest labor stats out this year, we're down to 7.1% Wisconsin union membership, 7.1%. It's been cut in half since the last gerrymander happened. And the bad governance and the purposeful malfeasance of Scott Walker that led us into this minority rule. I mean, in 2008, Democrats were across the board in charge. 2010, we got a little Tea Party, a little pushback to Obama and Obamacare. And Scott Walker, he changed the map for what will be 20 years. Unless you're right, Dom, unless people come out and change the math on the Wisconsin Supreme Court, that election, April 4th, won't be overnight, but it is literally our only path out of the wilderness to change the math on that court, or we're screwed. And I don't think I'm being hyperbolic when I say that. We've been screwed for a decade, and if we give up the State House, it's going to be even worse. So thank God for Tony Evers' reelective campaign. And, you better start thinking about Protasewicz or Everett Mitchell. Choose who you will in the primary, but get it right in the general. 844-967-2789. John from Joliet. How's it going, John? Sorry to lose you.
Well, it's all good, boys. Hey, my grievance is with everyone who did a protest vote, sat out, whatever, for the last 20 years. We're sitting here talking about this because of people like that.
But you know what, John? Ultimately, it's still the politics, and I get it, man. I am big into civic engagement. I mean, my whole life, I changed my whole life, John. I bought a freaking radio station about 6 years ago at this time. And it wasn't just so Dom and I had a studio to perform in. It was because the mission we were on was to push back on the fascism happening under Scott Walker's governance in the state of Wisconsin. And this guy was taking it on the road, wanted to be the president. And hell, we beat Walker back just in time for Donald Trump to become the president. I mean, I've been living my last 6 years of my life in the utter fear that I would screw this up and democracy would end, dude. So all I want people to do is read a freaking paper and vote on April 4th. It's not a lot to ask, John.
Well, yeah, I mean, I had an aunt. She was from Wisconsin. I think till her dying day, she regretted not voting in the 2016 election. I mean, she apologized for it over and over,
I would
because Trump got in,
I would forgive all those. I mean, we were misled by the polling. We were told, hey, Hillary Clinton's going to win. She doesn't even need to show up. She's such an ironclad lock. So we were all wrong, right? The pollsters were wrong. Everyone was wrong. And then we saw Donald Trump. We saw what a little taste of authoritarianism and just rampant graft at the highest levels. And one man has a whole different set of laws than everybody else. But the crazy part, John, is the cravenness of the Republican Party to embrace that, not to renounce it, but to go kiss the ring and kiss the ass and become part of it. They merged their agendas, right, Paul Ryan? Instead of being outraged, the Republicans became what they despised.
Or claimed to despise, John.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Anyway, well, go Packers, right? Oh, wait.
Come on, man. Oh. Are you a Bears guy, John?
Oh, come on. Well, yeah.
Uh-huh.
It's about 1985, right?
It's a long time since the shuffle, John.
I can't bust your nuts too much on that one.
I know, dude. You know who John, appreciate you listening down in Joliet. Love our fans all across, the NFC North. But I got to tell you, Ohio State people, you're not welcome here.
Come on, sure they are. Just because you made a bet in Ohio that you haven't gone and squared up yet doesn't mean you got to rip on the whole state, man.
Dominic, why were we in Columbus, Ohio that night?
Debate? Must have been a debate.
And who was the guy Crudy made the big talking bet to? On the
I don't know. I forget his name.
Monopoly Paul.
Paul, that's right.
So I could pay Paul. But he's going to have to invoice me at the office.
Yes. I gave it the office.
What I'm not going to do is mail a random $100 bill to a bar in Columbus, Ohio, and expect that somehow I'm gonna, and I have an obligation to you, Paul. And if you want the $100, it's right here in Wisconsin. And Ohio State's coming to town. Double or nothing, Paul. Ohio State comes to town for football this year. It's the only game where, I get Tourette's when Ohio State comes to town.
Yes, you're very emotional, very invested in your Badgers, man.
I don't hate.
You're ripping on people wearing like Scott Walker for wearing a UW Badger or a Marquette. You went to lacrosse, dude. You're wearing Badger stuff all the time. Where's your Screaming Eagles gear, man? We went to lacrosse together.
Stop talking trash about my team. Don't make me come down. Who's your team, man? You got a tattoo of a D on your shoulder. You lived in Livonia, man. You act like you're some big D guy. Hey, here's what I'd say. I saw a video this morning. Michigan fan walking through Ohio State after the game. Every person in the crowd, they showed F you. They were just lambasting this guy. People are like threatening to punch him just because he was from Michigan. I know the feeling.
Go on, you stupid horse. I got my last $10 on you.
You done messed up, Aaron.
Dad, I picked up your pills, made your lunch, and your laundry is done.
When you care for a loved one, you take care of everything. But are you taking care of yourself? Find free care guides at aarp.org/caregiving. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Warning, listening to the Devil's Advocates may expose you to opposing views.
We've mentioned, inflation is going to be an issue. Let me ask you this. What would you like to see Donald Trump do if you were here? What did you suggest Biden do to address the inflationary pressures we're facing right now?
Well, I can't tell you that because that would be something you could counter and defeat Trump with, or the Republican Party. So tell you.
You think Trump's taking strategy from you on talk radio, Lou?
I mean, you're no Kid Rock, Lou.
Follow the Devil's Advocates on Facebook and Twitter.
We stand on the shoulders of the women who came before us.
Women who were told they were bad with money.
Women who couldn't even get a credit card without a man co-signing.
Women who fought for their own financial futures.
And now it's our turn to lead the way.
Join us at WeSaySaveIt.org,
where women of all ages and all budgets are learning how to save for retirement.
You work hard.
You make money.
Now make that money work for you.
Invest in yourself at WeSaySaveIt.org.
A message from AARP and the Ad Council.
Dad, I picked up your pills, made your lunch, and your laundry is done.
When you care for a loved one, you take care of everything. But are you taking care of yourself? Find free care guides at aarp.org/caregiving. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Here's your Devil Radio forecast. Cloudy tonight with lows around 22. Winds out of the west 5 to 10 miles an hour. Cloudy again tomorrow, daytime highs approaching 31. Overcast tomorrow night, chance of snow, lows dip down to about 25. Temps above average Sunday and Monday with highs in the low 30s. A dusting of snow tomorrow night. For Civic Media, I'm meteorologist Eric Height. Currently, it's 28 degrees.
Warning, listening to the Devil's Advocates may expose you to opposing views.
It was a beautiful day.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. The phone lines open for your grievances or your take at 844-967-2789.
Dom, I have another trivia question for you.
Yes, sir.
What was the name of the bar in Cleveland where
the Winking Lizard
Scott Walker's party? No, you got it wrong. You come on, man. Never interrupt the panel.
Shooters on the Lake or something. But that was a temporary name.
Renamed Tuskers on the River. And Scott Walker had a little multi-state party. I guess they were doing a collaborative party, but Walker, the unofficial host, and he seemed a little depressed that night. You didn't even buy him a drink at the bar. You sat right down the bar from forgotten, also ran presidential candidate,
executive director of Young America's Foundation. Thank you very much. I mean, they take care of Ronald Reagan's ranch, dude. You know, the guy who increased the deficit by like 3 times when he was president. You know, the fiscally responsible Republicans, all very concerned about these things, right?
Come on, rookie. Forgot to turn your phone off? That's probably Scott Walker calling you. You know, I solved the $3.6 billion.
Oh, don't even get me going. See the BS from these guys. It's just so annoying.
Okay, you can try one. Like, if I totally fail, then I'll stop asking for trivia questions. But no one's challenged the champ here. Throw it at me just randomly. I'll know, Dom.
You'll know. Okay, who did we run into at Philly and walked him back to the hotel?
Madison Mayor Paul Soglin.
All right. What state delegation did we party the hell out of with in Philly?
Alaska, of course. Yeah. Those guys partied, man.
Oh yeah, we love those Alaska
like 2
folks.
o'clock in the morning, and then it was like 4:30 in the morning, in a wink of an eye. And like the Wisconsin, the Democratic Party of Wisconsin, then under the capable leadership of Martha Lanning, all the beer that they had used for the different events during the course of the week,
all the leftover beer, they just put out on the table at like 2 o'clock in the morning, and we took full advantage. We were still up. People were leaving to go to the airport. that was a great party. Much more fun than Cleveland.
What local television host was doing his laundry in the hotel? Those guys had driven from Cleveland to Philly. Him and his cameraman. I think the cameraman was Ryan, but who did we take photos of?
Oh, what's his name? He's not in it anymore. Tall cat. I forget.
How can you forget the incomparable Greg Newman?
That's right. Greg Newman. Yes. Newman.
I guess really this is just you and I having fun.
Well, I mean, we've been to the political parties, man. We put a lot of miles on over the years, right? So, I mean, when we talk about these things, we have a little frame of reference. What's that?
Best political party we were ever at. And don't tell me Scott Wanker's Tuskers on the River.
I don't know, man. I think what really, for me, when we first started out, we went to Vegas, right? We were in the shadow of the Trump Tower for one of the first debates.
Wasn't that the dumbest thing ever? That the Democratic Party,
the win. They're staying at the win.
That was, I think, the least strategic thing I'd ever seen a party do. Have their presidential debate in a Republican donor hotel in the shadow of Trump Tower, but we did have a hell of a good time.
We sure did. And the spin room afterwards, I think is really
our first national
spin
room.
And I didn't, come on, man. We just talk a little trash on the radio, have some fun. All right, let's go check this out, right? Get the press credentials, whatever. But it was really a sense of watching the sausage get made. And I really did. I took it all in. We were drinking. I got to ask a few questions. We had a good time. We were off the radio by that time. So, and just to see from a couple perspectives, one from the political operations and how the different teams and ran their folks around, they held up the signs and they had their different surrogates out there to discuss, to talk to the politicians, and also on the media side of it, in this huge room at the Wynn, and all these different media organizations rented out their 10x10s or their corner 20x20, whatever the case may be. MSNBC, CNN, Fox was probably there. Everybody was there, and some of the journalists, standing on top of, crates or boxes that they packed their cameras in to give them a little height.
It
was just to get the good camera angle, to get the good camera shots. And one of the things that really struck me, and even then, this is obviously years ago, but how young a lot of the reporters and the media were, how young so many of the staff were. I was a little taken aback. Of course, Andrea Mitchell, I was sitting next to her asking questions of different politicians, tiny little thing, obviously a little bit older, but she was certainly the exception. And how everyone reacted when Bernie Sanders came into the room. I mean, that was just a rush of media to get to Bernie. It was a little surreal. I'm not a big chase after people asking questions, so not the best journalist because I'm not going to run after anybody. That's not going to be me. But people, I get it. That's the job. That's how they do. That's what they want to do. They're running after it. I'm more of a stroll with flip flops.
Dominic, 3 doubles and $129 at the win bar later. I got to tell you, your tongue was a little fat.
Podesta?
You interviewed Hillary Clinton's surrogate, John Podesta, campaign chair, I believe. And Tom, do you recall what's your question?
It was the weed question, man. Legal weed.
You did. And John Podesta cocked his head, looked at the Brifty brandy sifter that you were spinning your tequila in, and gave you a semi-serious answer. But
not everybody was drinking, but I certainly was.
We didn't know you couldn't do that.
But you could. It's Vegas, man.
Well, we did, but we had already done our live show. We were done at 6:00 Central. The custom happier happy hour and all that kind of stuff. But our live show, the pre-debate show, was done. We just never knew you shouldn't get hammered drunk during the debate and go ask John Podesta about weed policy.
I wasn't hammered drunk. I was just a couple drinks in, feeling nice and loose.
Here's what I would say about you. I have traveled the nation. Dom, you miss it. The best party we were ever at, Washington Square Park, Bernie Sanders, 45,000 people. Yeah. I was a little irritated. I had lost cell phone battery, so I couldn't record the mementos of the night, the memories. Just had to live it through my irritation.
Hey, sometimes, put the phone down and take in the moment. That was a great time.
The people in the buildings, faces pressed, hundreds, thousands of college students looking down upon this scene. And I'm like, this is a party, cowboy. Come back with us. The happier happy hour. It's a party, I guarantee it.
If I'm curt, then I apologize.
Fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life, sir.
Congratulations for staying awake all day.
10 years ago, we opened with a single location. We had one glass blower, that's me, and a full display of artistically created glass pipes and products. Today, you've helped us grow to 3 successful locations. Ignite Glass and Gifts thanks you for your continued support. We'll be here as long as you need us. Madison's favorite for glass gifts and vape. Ignite Glass and Gifts, Monona Drive, Williamson Street, and Odana Road. 1 solid decade. Man, does that feel good.
Hey, this is Matt from Design Garden. Remember when the internet was new? Back then, you had to leave your house to start a business. Companies used to pay programmers bags of cash to get online. Now, small businesses can get online with a Facebook business page, or Squarespace, or Google My Business, or WordPress. But which tools should you use? Can you afford to go down the wrong path? Design Garden uses modern tools to build your website the right way. Find us online at design.garden. Again, that's design.garden.
You are listening to WTTN 1580 AM Columbus, W224 EG Madison, always streaming on the Civic Media app.
ABC News, I'm Andy Field. Arizona's state attorney filing a motion to withdraw the death penalty so it can review how it carries out executions. Democratic Governor Katie Hobbs starting a commission to review executions from lethal injections to protocols.
We just want to review the practices, and we worked closely with the Attorney General's office in this decision to issue this executive order and appoint this commissioner.
President Biden hosting a bipartisan group of mayors who are in D.C. for their annual conference. The president promoting recent legislation he says is helping create jobs, improve infrastructure, and fighting crime. In Germany, Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin and allies pledging to send more defense weapons to Ukraine. Austin says the U.S. is sending another $2.5 billion in military aid to Ukraine to help against Russian attacks. More pain for the tech industry. Google's parent company Alphabet announcing it will lay off 12,000 workers due to restructuring after the pandemic. This is ABC News. Prosecutors in New Mexico expected to formally charge Alec Baldwin and the armorer on the set of the movie Rust in the next 2 weeks. They face 2 counts of involuntary manslaughter for the deadly 2021 shooting of cinematographer Helena Hutchins. Baldwin's attorney says he will fight the charges. Larry Ray, convicted of sexually and psychologically manipulating his daughter's classmate at Sarah Lawrence College, has been sentenced to 60 years in prison. Here's ABC's Aaron Katursky.
He had just gotten out of prison on an unrelated case and ended up moving in with his daughter in her dorm room, a very strange circumstance to say the least. And it was her friends that became enslaved to Larry Ray. All of this was laid out in a magazine article, and when prosecutors ended up reading it, that's when they began to bring their case.
British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak fined £100 for not wearing a seatbelt in a moving vehicle. Andy Field, ABC News.
This is the radio station you were looking for. Devil Radio 92.7. It surrounds us, it penetrates us, it binds the world together.
Help me, Devil Radio. You're my only hope.
WTTN 1580 AM News Talk Radio, built for the 99%, is rural Wisconsin's home for Devil Radio.
For Civic Media, I'm Jane Madnier with your headlines. Water quality in Wisconsin is the #1 priority for the new head of the state DNR. Adam Payne telling Wisconsin Public Radio he wants to be aggressive in the response to PFAS. The DNR currently investigating at least 90 sites across the state reporting high levels of these forever chemicals. The secretary-designee began his duties January 3rd, but still hasn't been confirmed by the GOP-controlled state Senate. When asked if he's concerned about finding common ground with Republicans in the legislature, Payne says it's not about politics because protecting our natural resources shouldn't be a partisan issue. And you can give winter fishing a try for free this weekend. The DNR hosting free fishing Saturday and Sunday. You don't need a license, but all other fishing regulations are still in place, including limits on the number and size of fish you can keep. You're listening to Devil Radio, 92.7 FM, WTTN, 1580 AM.
It's a new year, and because we're excited about our new and still growing Civic Media network of radio stations, it's time to do something really big. How does a $1 million advertising giveaway sound to you? Our celebration is your chance to work with Civic Media's amazing sales team, creating a radio advertising campaign promoting your business for free. Save the date. The $1 million advertising giveaway is only happening on Thursday, January 26th. Full details on our website, civicmedia.us/million.
This is Chad Spate. In 1992, I moved to Madison to pursue a PhD at UW, and I started a residential remodeling company called Chad's Carpentry. I was eager to make a difference, to change the world, and I soon realized that our remodeling company was a great place to start. We pride ourselves on understanding how houses work so that your home improvement project actually improves your home, and we love what we do. To learn more, go to chadsdesignbuild.com, and thank you, Madison, for 30 great years.
I was just curious as to why you called it the Paul Revere Show.
The Paul Revere Show is named this way because the poem that we all know, the famous ride, the poem was written to rally the troops to fight slavery and fight for democracy. And so I named the show the Paul Revere Show because I thought it was the time to get on the air and talk about democracy.
The Paul Revere Show with Mark Thompson. Listen Mondays 7 to 8 p.m. always on the Civic Media app.
Pat, I feel like all the women we have on our show, like our co-hosts, always get too famous for us. And then
I would just like to think that we are fertile ground from which they can blossom. We are the manure from which they spring.
the manure from which they spring. I was gonna say holding fort, but I think your metaphor is way better.
Up North News Radio with Pat Krylo airs at its new time from 6 to 8 a.m. weekdays across Civic Media.
It makes me smile and you have a piano, but if you can play the Peanuts theme song.
Oh my gosh. You know he can.
Yes, on the Devil's Radio. Listen to Max Inc. Radio Saturday nights, 6 p.m. to midnight on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Devil Radio programming is produced live in the Solidarity Realty Studios. Find them at solidarityrealty.com. Solidarity.
Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves and corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening. 3, 2, 1. Now live from the Devil Radio Studios in Madison, Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning. Welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Here is your host, Mike Crute.
Welcome to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, the Friday happy hour. Airing the grievances up in this joint, Tom. 844-967-2789. Would like to mention the National Women's March coming to Madison, Wisconsin, my hometown, this Sunday. So, if you're in town, give us a little shout out on the social medias at Devil Radio on Twitter. And I'll notice sometime in the next week or so, or hit us up on Facebook at the Devil's Advocates Radio. Dom, there's a strange and troubling headline. I haven't read past the headline. I hate to jump into something I haven't read past. Let's go a different direction. Let's go with the national headline, but check the Madison.com. See what I'm talking about.
All right.
Florida judge whacks Trump lawyers with nearly $1 million in sanctions for misuse of the courts. Now, normally we air the grievances, but unless you're Donald Trump, this isn't bugging any of my friends. You know what I mean? It's finally time to start paying the piper, Dom. And then we've got an update story on this as well. Federal District Court Judge Donald Middlebrooks on Thursday, that's yesterday, dropped the hammer, baby, on former President Donald Trump's attorneys by hitting them with sanctions totaling $1 million, or nearly that, for what he described as misuse of the courts. I have always wondered, how can it be that Donald Trump can use the courts at his whim, throw this crap out there, and then withdraw it at the last minute, when it would force him to be deposed? Something of that sort, very
playing games, playing political games with the court system. Yes.
In a court order flagged by Politico's Kyle Cheney, Middlebrooks, that's the judge, raked Trump's lawyers over the coals for their failed lawsuit against Hillary Clinton for purportedly defaming him by accusing him of being Russian President Vladimir Putin's puppet during the 2016 campaign.
I'm no puppet, you're the puppet.
Middlebrooks said in part, this case should never have been brought. Its inadequacy as a legal claim was evident from the start. No reasonable lawyer, you sure Rudy didn't play a part? No reasonable lawyer would have filed it. Intended for a political purpose, none of the counts of the amended complaint stated a cognizable legal claim. It's a lot of nice ways of saying,
you're full of it.
Oh my goodness. Middlebrooks went on to detail damage caused by the Trump legal team's actions. 31 individuals and entities were needlessly harmed in order to dishonestly advance a political narrative, A continuing pattern of misuse of the courts by Mr. Trump and his lawyers undermines the rule of law, portrays judges as partisans, and diverts resources from those who have suffered actual legal harm.
Ouch.
As evidence of the frivolity of the lawsuit, Middlebrooks cited an interview Trump attorney Alina Habba gave to Foxy News' Sean Hannity, where she revealed even Trump thought the case against Clinton wouldn't work and that she persuaded him to back it anyways. I wonder if she'll persuade him to pay the $1 million in sale.
Right.
The former president looked at me and he told me, you know what, Alina, you're not going to win. Habba told Hannity last September, you can't win, just get rid of it. Don't do the case. And I said, no, we have to fight. You know, Middlebrooks leveled sanction against Trump's lawyers, like the one we were just quoting, $938,000. That's a lot of jing dong.
That's real money. And to put that into some context, wasn't the Trump organization ordered to pay like $1.5 million for like 15 years? 15 years of fraud against the state of New York?
Maximum permissible under law in that particular case?
The max, and this is $938,000. But Crudy, also on that very same vein from ABC News, Donald Trump withdraws lawsuit against New York Attorney General Letitia James. Trump had filed a suit in response to the $250 million lawsuit filed by Attorney General James. Again, ABC News reporting, less than a day after receiving a warning from a federal judge, former President Trump has withdrawn his lawsuit against New York Attorney Tish James. The withdrawal came in a brief document filed Friday morning with the U.S. District Court Judge Donald Middlebrooks. Same guy, who late Thursday warned Trump's legal team that the lawsuit appeared to verge on frivolous. A quote from the letter: plaintiff, President Donald J. Trump, he's not president, by and through his undersigned counsel and pursuant to federal code, hereby voluntarily dismisses his claims in this action against defendant Letitia James without prejudice, the letter said. Trump's lawsuit against the AG had sought to shield Trump's revocable trust from James, who has an ongoing $250 million civil suit that alleges fraudulent conduct of the Trump organization. Really? James has accused Trump and his family members of grossly, quote unquote, grossly inflating the former president's net worth by billions of dollars and of cheating lenders and others with false and misleading financial statements. Trump, who has denied the allegations, has called the investigation by James, who was black, a politically motivated witch hunt by an attorney general he has called racist. Trump's suit against James accused her of intimidation and harassment and of making repeated attempts to steal, destroy, or control all things Trump. On Thursday, Middlebrooks ordered Trump and his attorney, Alina Habba, to pay fines of nearly $1 million. We just talked about that for that revenge lawsuit against Hillary Clinton. In his Thursday opinion, the judge also cautioned Trump's attorneys that they could face sanction over their lawsuit against James. In the opinion, Middlebrooks called Trump a prolific and sophisticated litigant who is repeatedly using the courts to seek revenge on political adversaries. He is the mastermind of strategic abuse of the judicial process, and he cannot be seen as a litigant blindly following the advice of a lawyer. He knew full well the impact of his actions, Middlebrooks wrote. So after being fined by Middlebrooks yesterday to the tune of almost $1 million and warned that the Tish James AG New York lawsuit was frivolous, he backed down. He will not back down, but he did back down. He has withdrawn the lawsuit. Apparently he doesn't want to, pay another $1 million for frivolous lawsuits.
Why would you not play this one out, Dom? Because here's how I do the math.
Okay.
You're doing the AG for $250 million. And you just got fined a measly $1 million. I mean, what's $1 million to a billionaire? But $250 million, that's a bet worth taking, right? You're betting 250 to 1. What kind of gambler is this man? Yellow belly. Orange belly.
Listen, and this is obviously great news. I mean, if you care about justice, for a guy like Donald Trump to just, use the justice system like this as a stick to beat his opponents with. And he's been famous for this, right? Thousands and thousands of lawsuits over the years. Donald Trump, half of them plaintiff, half of them defendant. He's very well aware of how the process works. So when the guy plays these games, and we all know he's playing games, it's so finally refreshing to see that a federal judge actually lays down the lumber on this BS, man. I mean, and this should frankly have been done a long time ago. Granted, this case wasn't, that long ago, but this is the same pattern of practice of Donald Trump and his attorneys going back since Donald Trump's been Donald Trump, but more specifically and more importantly, since Donald Trump has been president and former ex-president, disgraced, twice impeached, POS ex-president of the United States. So good on Middlebrooks. Pay that bill, Trump.
There'll be more lawsuits, though, just in different jurisdictions, I suspect. 844-967-2789. Dom, a grievance we had earlier in the week. We'll never know. The Supreme Court investigation of their internal leak, we'll never know. But the question, and we didn't even know this yesterday, were the justices interviewed? And now we know, Dom. They were,
but
they weren't, held under oath? They didn't have to swear to their testimony? They didn't have to sign to it or anything?
They did not have to sign the same document attesting that their testimony was true like all the other 97 staffers or whoever else this Marshall interviewed. No, they did not.
Why would they, if they truly... Unless one of them was the leaker,
right? Allegedly.
Would they not have willingly affirmed or attested to the veracity of the statements they're willing to make? I insist that I be interviewed under oath. Well, of course, they're all attorneys at law. Given the option to not be under oath, I'm sure they all opted for that one. Because they've all probably said something to their own spouses about a case or that Alito character or something, that perhaps would be outside the Supreme Court judicial ethics. Maybe it would be less than kosher, if you will, Dom. But I got to think, if I was a Supreme Court justice, I mean, we talk about people being above the law. Don't they get to set their own recusal policy?
Yes.
When there's a leak that they claim could lead to devastating consequences. Someone could die over it.
An assassination claim, yes.
Yeah, I mean, someone tried to kill Brett Kavanaugh. No, someone showed up and called the cops on themselves and said, I'm having bad thoughts or something of the sort. But, ultimately, shouldn't these guys be interviewed under oath? And girls, all of them.
Yes.
The justices, top to bottom. Get to the bottom of this. If you're trying to establish credibility of the courts, this ain't the way to do it. Everybody's under oath except the judge. He can lie if he wants to. Or she. But I'm talking about Alito in this case. Come back with us. More Devil's Advocates. Air your grievances. It's a happier happy hour. 844-967-2789.
Here's that song again. Here's that song again. For the 100th time today. Here's that song again. It's gonna be stuck in your head all day. Here's that song again. It will make you cray, cray.
You love your kids enough to watch that TV show a bajillion times. Love them enough to make sure they're in the right car seat for their age and size. Show them you love them. Keep them safe. Visit nhts.gov/the-right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
The Devil's Advocates.
Bill Press, thanks for sticking around, man.
The idea that idiot, Ron Johnson, the guy who says you can't call it an armed riot because they didn't have any arms. Read or listen to what Michael Fanone says about Ron Johnson and the fact that there were no arms. It was an armed riot. And Ron Johnson, he's a phony who doesn't deliver, who lies, who certainly does not represent Wisconsin. I hope the people realize there's no Senate seat more important in this country.
For podcasts of shows, special events, and more, visit civicmedia.us.
It's 4 a.m. and you're sucking baby snot through a tube because she's congested. If you love her that much, love her enough to make sure she's buckled in the right car seat. Find out more at nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
You are never far away from your favorite local radio station. We're always streaming on TuneIn and the Civic Media app, and we invite you to get social with us by following our network's Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook pages. Want even more? civicmedia.us.
Here's your Devil Radio forecast. Cloudy tonight with lows around 22. Winds out of the west 5 to 10 miles an hour. Cloudy again tomorrow, daytime highs approaching 31. Overcast tomorrow night, chance of snow, lows dip down to about 25. Temps above average Sunday and Monday with highs in the low 30s. A dusting of snow tomorrow night. For Civic Media, I'm meteorologist Eric Height. Currently, it's 28 degrees.
The Devil's Advocates, the fix for political junkies everywhere.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Happy Friday. Air your grievances, 844-967-2789.
I know I'm kind of being selfish. Can I go again? I got another grievance.
All right, man. You got to get it off your chest, Crudy. It's not healthy for a man of your age to keep it all inside.
I would allow you to take this grievance, Tom, because you're going to be aggrieved. But I'm sure you haven't read past the headlines, so let me do it for you.
All right.
Ron DeSantis, governor of Florida, right, sparks outrage with rejection of African-American studies class. So the governor of Florida wading into education policy once again. Let me read from thehill.com. Florida gubernator Ron DeSantis is facing criticism after his administration rejected an advanced placement African American studies course from being taught in Florida schools, the latest curriculum-related action by the governor to draw fierce backlash. The DeSantis administration made the move earlier this month when it sent a letter to the College Board Florida Partnership arguing, and this is the quote, Dom, that the content of this course is inexplicably contrary to Florida law and significantly lacks educational value.
Wow.
Advanced placement African-American studies, again, is contrary to Florida law and significantly lacks educational value, according to the governor. The letter didn't name which law the course purportedly violated, and the state's Department of Education did not clarify that matter when asked by the Hill. Must be breaking one of the laws. Ron keeps throwing them at us.
Something. It must be something. Can't have that any non-white history being taught in Florida.
The action has drawn heavy criticism, with Democratic legislators, LGBTQ advocates likening it to DeSantis's recent crusade against Florida schools teaching lessons related to sexual orientation or gender identity, topics state officials have argued are inappropriate for children. One more. This one, Florida Senator Shervon Jones, Democrat, the state's first openly gay senator. Florida is doing its best to tilt the scales and shut down important, much-needed discussions of race, slavery, stolen lands, and undeniable history that have led to where we are as a society today. A little bit more from the state center of Florida. Governor DeSantis' whitewashing of history and book bans are his latest assault on American history and our First Amendment rights. Horrifyingly, it is our vulnerable and underrepresented students who will suffer the most as a result.
Crudy, a February 2022 Quinnipiac University poll found that only 27% of Americans felt the U.S. history taught in schools reflects an accurate account of the role of African Americans in the country. The new advanced placement course, which is currently a pilot program in 60 schools nationwide, has been in the works for over a decade, according to the College Board. Ivory Tolson, the NAACP Director of Education, Innovation, and Research, condemned Florida's rejection of the course. Ron DeSantis' flippant dismissal of an AP African American Studies course is not only a dereliction of his duty to ensure equitable education for all Floridians, but shows clear disdain for the lives and experiences that form part of our national history, he said in a statement on Friday. Dismissing this important subject as lacking quote-unquote educational value defies centuries of evidence to the contrary. African-American history is American history, and failure to comprehend this very simple fact is un-American in and of itself. The Hill goes on to report, but Florida's rejection of the course follows a pattern from last year when DeSantis signed the Stop Wrongs to Our Kids and Employee Act into law. The law, known as the Stop Woke Act, prohibits any instruction that could make someone feel personally responsible for historic wrongdoings because of their race, sex, or national origin. Unveiling the legislative proposal last year, DeSantis said the measure was drafted with the intent of taking a stand against the state-sanctioned racism that is critical race theory, an academic theory that addresses systemic racism in the U.S. But scholars have argued that concepts related to critical race theory are not taught until students reach the college level.
So Ron DeSantis, in his run-up to what? Declaring himself the presidential, the great white hope for the Republican Party, because Trump's a little too orange-tinted for him. He's going to be the better, less troubling, less Twitter problematic sort of fascist, and he's going to do so. He's going to do so. Pardon me. I heard a little echo. It must have been
echo there.
My ears.
Little echo. There we go. How's that?
He is going to do so by what? What was he going to do? He's going to hate on the gays, hate on the blacks, and then use that as an elective campaign. And he thinks that by being the most racist, most anti-trans, anti-woke, that somehow that's going to make him electable. How do you think that math works out electorally, Don?
I think it works out fantastic for, DeSantis amongst the white Christian nationalists. I think that'll do very well for him.
Call them the Republican base at this.
Exactly. The Republican base, gonna love it. The Florida Republican base, certainly. But what an asinine and obscene gesture. As New York Rep. Richie Torres said, Florida has gone from don't say gay to don't say black.
Come back with us. We are the Devil's Advocates. Going to have a little fun. It's the Happier Happy Hour. Still waiting for someone to quiz me on my political Wisconsin trivia. Dom, what would be your superpower, Dom?
Oh, my superpower, sexy.
Talk radio made for the 99% on Rebel Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM.
ABC News, I'm Andy Field. Arizona state attorney filing a motion to withdraw the death penalty so it can review how it carries out executions. Democratic Governor Katie Hobbs starting a commission to review executions from lethal injections to protocols.
We just want to review the practices, and we worked closely with the Attorney General's office in this decision to issue this executive order and appoint this commissioner.
President Biden hosting a bipartisan group of mayors who are in D.C. for their annual conference. The president promoting recent legislation he says is helping create jobs, improve infrastructure, and fighting crime. In Germany, Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin and allies pledging to send more defense weapons to Ukraine. Austin says the U.S. is sending another $2.5 billion in military aid to Ukraine to help against Russian attacks. More pain for the tech industry. Google's parent company Alphabet announcing it will lay off 12,000 workers due to restructuring after the pandemic. This is ABC News.
Quit surfing the dial. You already found the greatest radio station ever, Devil Radio, on 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM.
This is Pat Kreitlow from Up North News Radio. Dane County Judge Chris Taylor is running unopposed to serve on the State Court of Appeals, but that's not stopping her from getting out on the campaign trail in a different role, explaining the importance of the appeals court, yes, but also the race for state Supreme Court. It doesn't get the attention of races for governor or U.S. Senate, but it arguably has more of an impact on the lives of Wisconsinites when you see how the current conservative majority has reduced voting rights and made it tougher to fight a pandemic.
My opinion,
Evan, can you hear me?
is that our role is to...
Hey, we got the... I'm hearing myself echo here. We got the Comrex set up on the Bricklink. You want to give it a shot? See if you can pod me up on there. You hear me? Check. How about now? Check. No, I'm getting extra though. Check. I don't hear Crudy, and I'm getting a
mid-show. Let's not change mid-show. We got two segments left.
You got a let's try it at 6 o'clock. Evan, you got a second afterwards? Okay. All right, we'll try it after.
Advertising campaign promoting your business for free. Save the date. The $1 million advertising giveaway is only happening on Thursday, January 26th. Full details on our website, civicmedia.us/million.
If you came across someone struggling with hunger, how would you recognize them? Would you notice a 16-year-old boy who got his first job?
Not for extra spending money, but to help feed his little sisters?
Or a mother who's in between jobs and sometimes goes to bed hungry so her kids can have dinner? I am the 1 in 8 Americans who struggle with hunger. I am hungered in America.
Hunger can be hard to recognize. Learn why at IamHungeredInAmerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Darcy Haber, I hear you have solar panels on your office building. Since when are real estate brokers so concerned about the environment?
True, you should know that at Solidarity Realty, we provide outstanding real estate service while adhering to our core progressive values. Environmental sustainability is a big part of that.
So you really walk your talk, huh?
Yeah, I even walk to work.
Come on, always?
Well, sometimes I bike, and if I have an appointment across town, I use my solar panels to charge my plug-in.
Solidarity Realty. They're real, they're solid, and they're honest. Check them out at solidarityrealty.com.
I grew up hearing that women are bad with money, but I pay bills and take care of my family, so I'm pretty good with money. And now I'm taking control of my financial future by saving for retirement. Jumpstart your retirement savings at WeSaySaveIt.org. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
The Devil's Advocates. So relevant, they have 1 foot in tomorrow.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. We air grievances. I take your Wisconsin State political trivia challenges, although no one's had the courage to challenge the champ so far. I'd even find some swag in the cupboard if the caller beat me, Dom.
Somebody can stump you. They get a free T-shirt, Crudy.
Something like that. I got some T-shirts.
All right.
Some whiskey back there as well.
Hey, no, not my whiskey.
Not your whiskey.
Oh, okay.
I got my own liquor cabinet world over here, Dom. 844-967-2789. I wish you all luck. Andy from Beaver Dam. Appreciate your patience. What do you got for us, Andy?
Hey, Andy. Happy Friday, man.
Well, I still have my Virgin Devil T-shirt. I'm almost too proud to, want to preserve it for posterity, but
I'd put it behind glass in the trophy case.
Yeah, you can pass that down for generations, Andy, and make your grandchildren wealthy beyond their wildest imaginations.
Oh, it's a beautiful thing. But my grievance, and to make this short, if I were Dom at the Las Vegas Democratic or whatever the heck it was, and now you guys are all young dudes, but if I were that close to Andrea Mitchell, and then I came to the realization that I'm almost as old, if not more than she is, and I'm thinking, oh God, but Andrea, of course, works on it real hard.
I'm not sure what you're trying to express here, Andy. You got the hots for Andrea Mitchell? What are you telling us?
Oh, no. Remember, she's married to that one.
Alan Greenspan.
Alan Greenspan.
Former Treasury Secretary. And his unusual frothiness of the markets.
Right. And just let the whole thing go. Just let the markets seek their own level. And then all of a sudden, here comes 2008. But anyway, no. I was just saying to bring out the fact that, Andrea is no spring chicken, and I'm right up there with her. So, it's just, I don't.
So, in a roundabout way, you felt like Dom was calling you old, Andy? Are we getting closer to the truth now?
Oh, not by choice. No. But I'm trying to, in a fantasy, I'm trying to be like where he was. And thinking if that would have happened to me, I'd be saying, "Oh my God," but Dom is a young buck. He's only like what, 51? That's hardly broken. He's hardly. He's got that beautiful wife. He went out to the Big Apple last weekend and went to the plays and then the Broadway and all that. I mean, it's all life is good.
Life is good, but a little confusing for the last few minutes here for me.
Andy, thanks. I'm not clear, but I think, there is the starstruckness. I don't have that. You know what I'm saying? I think there's...
Because you never recognize the players.
Well, whatever, man. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I'm the star walking in the room, Andy. You know what I mean? So they should be coming up to me. That's my attitude. But I think that standoffness, and I think Andrea Mitchell did a good job that night. And I know some people give her a little criticism here and there, but to be a woman in this business and make it as far as she has, I mean, there's some props right there. But I think the way that, we as a culture treat the stars and the pop culture and the music and the movie thing and all that, I think that's not great. I think that sort of weird idol worship and, kind of the giving these guys a pass because of, you like this song, you're like that movie, you're like that position. At the end of the day, we're all human beings. We all decide how we're going to live our lives. And some people want to run after the stories and run after the politicians. And some people, want to be those politicians. Some people want to be those stars. But we're all the same, man. We all bleed red. We all breathe air. And that commonality kind of, from my perspective, makes it all seem like, well, they're not anybody different than you or me, Andy. So I'm not a starstruck kind of guy. And I wish more people would lay the lumber down on some of these politicians that seemingly get away. I think the guys like Donald Trump, the Republican Party, look how they looked up to. Allowed him to take that party over. They were willing conspirators in their own kidnapping. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of that, I think, is that perception, accurate or not, that Donald Trump is a wealthy man beyond his and anyone's wildest thoughts, and that if they somehow do right by him, that they're going to get some of that money. I mean, I don't know what else to say. That's what it seems like to me. And of course, that's not the case. Guys like Donald Trump, he's a professional grifter. He's been doing nothing but grifting off of his mega acolytes since day one. Build that wall. I mean, the Bannon even got in on it, man, but he got in trouble for it. So Donald Trump is all about making that money. And if they didn't fall for it, if they treated him like everybody else, nobody would fall for it.
Tom, I've got a thought. Politics is just showbiz for ugly people. I've got that sign here in the studio, in the Solidarity Realty studio in Madison. Not you or I.
Oh, of course. Everybody else.
We're media. We're the beautiful people. And the other, here's the question, trivia out of left field, Tom.
All right, go.
Hit me, but who's Andrea Mitchell dating or married to? I got Alan Greenspan, so I'm taking a check for that one. Who sang the national anthem through the wall at the first presidential debate in the 2016 Democratic cycle? And I can give you 3, 2, 1.
A female. It was a female.
It was a female voice. And if it makes you happy, Dom, I will tell you it's Sheryl Crow.
Oh, okay. Nice.
See, there's that pop culture thing. You're just not that into it.
Yeah, while fine, good, does it really matter who sang it before the
It was a little
debate?
startling because we were watching the television coverage and in the radio room where they put radio guys in the far back.
Right. Two of us.
Maybe some internet journalists and the radio guys. And they were preparing and were watching on TV, but the reality was a little ahead of the coverage. So what we were seeing was time delayed. So all of a sudden, through the wall, Sheryl Crow burst out with the Star Spangled Banner. It was just a momentary startling thing. A female voice, as you would describe it.
I got that part right. I was right.
You got a trivia question for me?
No, nothing yet. What's the phone number, Crudy? What's the phone number?
Oh, that's troubling sometimes.
Sometimes it is.
844-967-2789. And if you've never been on the show before, or you're from Green Bay, or you want to ask me a trivia question, win a t-shirt or something, I got some t-shirts back there. Whiskey, you got to do more than answer a question, but 844-967-2789. Dick in the garage. Don't ask me if I heard what some other host was talking about today.
Hey, Dick.
I'll lose it. Unless it was Jim Troupis, then I'm okay with it.
Oh, my God, guys. Andy, please. You look 100 times younger than Andrea Mitchell. I think that she looks way older than Barbara Walters, who just passed away at 97. But that's
why we all being ageist against Andrea Mitchell. I mean, talk about her bad journalism.
Yeah, man. I don't know about that, man. And I don't know, man. Andy looks about as old as Andrea Mitchell. I gotta be honest, but not to be ageist. But thanks, Dick.
Andy can still hear you, you know.
Okay, but here's my grievance today.
Yes.
Last night at this time, I'm watching Ari Milbert, and he had the most fantastic show on what's going on with this lawsuit with the ridiculous, you know what I'm talking about. It's just unbelievable.
No, you got to be a little more descriptive.
Yeah, which lawsuit you talking about, Dick?
Rupert Murdoch and the whole thing and the whole cabal of that. And
are we talking about the Dominion defamation suit against?
Yes.
Okay, please continue.
Yes. And not one person has picked it up today. I mean, he put him right in the sight line of, and guess who? Sean Hannity. He even said that he knew this was all a fallacy about Trump winning when he was really put to the test, when it could cost him.
I didn't believe it for a second, he said.
Right. And yet he went out and kept perpetrating the lie. Why is this not a huge news story, guys?
Well, you've heard of the big lie because it's been an extremely big news story, but the ongoing play-by-play of the defamation lawsuit, I mean, Dick, there's just so many fronts, so many legal fronts. You know, we have to clarify which lawsuit against the former president you're referencing. The one that he filed that was dismissed, the one where his lawyers were sanctioned, the one where his deposition testimony was released, the one where, you know what I mean? He's not even a direct defendant in this one. It's the news that, of course, was willing to tell the big lies.
Well, and we in some ways, and I think it's a good point, Dick. I mean, there's lots of important stories out there, and this one, we'll see what the conclusion is. The ins and outs, whether what Murdoch said or whatever is ultimately irrelevant until the conviction comes, hopefully, and they end up paying billions of dollars for
conviction, civil forfeiture,
conviction, fine, whatever you want to call it, guilty Yes, they did it. Call it what you want. Give them $1.5 billion. And they should. I mean, that should shut them down.
No.
As far as I'm concerned. It should. It should.
Well,
they got lots of money. I get it. But it is a big story. And if any of these individually 20 years ago would have been devastating. I mean, if it was NBC or any of the big broadcasting, pre-cable back in the day, if that would have been them getting sued for billions of dollars, it'd be huge. It'd be all over everything, everywhere. But there's just so much getting thrown at us that we get kind of numb to it.
Dan Rather lost his career for a true story represented through a false document. And somehow the truth of George W. Bush's failure to report for service in the Texas Air National Guard went by the wayside. Dan Rather lost his career over it, and it was basically a fraudulent document. But what it reported, as near as I can tell, was mostly accurate. 844-967-2789. Bill from Madison. Welcome, Bill.
Hey, Bill.
Welcome. I got a trivia question.
All right, man. I've been waiting all day for this.
All right. Why is it called taking a dump when you're not actually taking anything?
As much as I'm not going there with you, Bill. I'm not into the scatological humor. That's not.
Yes, I think we're looking for political trivia specifically. But thanks for the contribution. We'll just leave it there.
Instead of never mind. Never mind. There's like 3 times today where I've wanted to say something and I've thought, really, Crudy, you shouldn't.
Well, see, you're growing as a broadcaster, as a journalist, as a human being. Not everything needs to go from your brain out your mouth. Some things you can just let ruminate for a while.
You got a trivia question for me? I haven't gotten one legitimate trivia question. I filled in some blanks and Andy's faulty memory, but give me one down.
I'll come back after the break. We'll take some callers and I will wrap this up with a stumper for Crudy. Stick around. You're listening to the Devil's Advocates. We're going to hear Crudy say, I don't know. We're going to hear it. 844-967-2789. One more segment this Friday. We'll be right back.
Will there be a lawsuit? Yeah, probably.
No respect for human
billions.
Life had a remote control. You could pause or rewind. Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. Take the 1-minute risk test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
The Devil's Advocates.
I got a little email missive just a little bit ago. Can I share just a little?
Please.
Friend, Trump is one day away from taking the stage in Wisconsin, and we need you to help stop big tech from censoring his American First message. By taking our Trump rally poll, can we count on your prompt response? Here are your options. Yes, I stand with Trump, or no, I support censorship. Let's just say you feel a little pushed in the corner.
Check out the entire podcast library at darnwi.com.
Wouldn't it be great if life came with a remote control? You could hit pause when you needed to, or hit rewind, like that time you knocked down that wasp's nest. Uh-oh. Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. To learn your risk, take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners. Life had a remote control. You could pause or rewind. Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. Take the 1-minute risk test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
Here's your Devil Radio forecast. Cloudy skies expected tonight with a low of 22. West winds 5 to 10 miles an hour. Highs around 31 tomorrow, cloudy skies. Chance for snow tomorrow night, lows around 25, overcast. Overcast skies Sunday, decreasing clouds by Monday, highs in the low 30s. A dusting of snow tomorrow night. For Civic Media, I'm meteorologist Eric Height. Currently, it's 28 degrees.
The Devil's Advocates. Never personal, only politics.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show, the last segment of the day. So if you got something to say, hit us up right now, 844-967-2789. Crudy, I'm going to throw my question out there. Then we'll get to the callers. Name a person that we interviewed, the Devil's Advocates interviewed back in, maybe 2015, who recently hosted an award show.
Jared Carmichael.
Oh, yeah. Damn it. Yes. He just hosted the Golden Globes, man.
I still brag about having that guy in studio. Are you kidding me? Jared Carmichael, before he was a big time, he had already signed the pilot with NBC. And we got him care of the fine folks at Comedy on State. Eve Para and the team down there, they do a hell of a job. And she brought Gerard Carmichael in our studio. And now the guy's big time, man. He got the Devil's Advocates bump.
Yeah, he's a funny dude.
And I remembered the Paul Soglin, so I guess technically you'd already given me a question.
Ah, damn it.
No t-shirt for you.
I got some.
I will give a t-shirt away. We'll go speed round. I'll see if I can answer the questions. 844-967-2789. Rico, what do you got for us?
Oh, man, I don't have no question. I wouldn't even begin.
All right, make a grievance then, Rico. My grievance is you don't have a question.
Oh, well, I drifted. On the way home, I lost signal for a little bit. Let me tell you this. I drifted on down the dial, and I caught your competition, and oh, my gosh. Oh, it's like walking into a room full of chainsaws, weeping and wailing, gnashing of teeth and screaming. Oh, Vicky had her panties all up in her craw, but you'll never guess why, guys. She had the Republican chair on, and they were crying about Milwaukee and Dane County there and how the Republican vote is just flatlining and all the Dem votes are going up, and I think he used 4 ups.
Rico, hold that thought before you answer. Dominic, who is the Republican Party chair of the great state of Wisconsin?
Brian Schimming.
He only knows him because Schimming's a buddy of ours.
Oh, okay, cool. Hey, so I just want to tell you guys, is this way are I getting time here?
Yeah, you get one more, but I'm going to just say this. But also remember, Brian Schimming is a Republican, and they're the party that's all down for fascism. Just trying to point that out for the late arrivers, Rico. But go ahead.
But I just wanted to say, like I get home to, and you guys, it's so much more calmer and sweeter, and we're laughing. Heck, according to Don, we're even sexy,
Yeah. I always say it because it's true, Rico.
Technically, Rico, it's the panel that's sexy. But you, sir, you got that gravelly thing.
A party with you, cowboy.
Yeah. 844-967-2789. Allie from Madison. Welcome, Allie. What do you got for us?
Hi, Allie.
Hi. I have a trivia question.
Excellent.
From the Solidarity Sing-Along Arrest.
Yes.
What is Meatloaf Cop's real first name?
David.
No.
What is his real first name? Meathead?
Michael.
No, Meathead is David Davis.
Yeah, Meathead. You're thinking of a different person.
No, Meatloaf. Or Meathead, whatever you called him. Yeah. That's not David. I'm sure it's not.
Well, Allie, I'd love to give you a t-shirt, but sister, you can't be wrong. And then if Don knows the answer, pretty sure you're wrong. I'm sorry. 844-967-2789. That is the correct answer. E-Bone, look him up. Meathead. He's in the files. Joanne from Madison, welcome. What do you got?
All right. Can I go back to 2011 and the Wisconsin protest? Quick question.
Yes.
Okay, that summer, right before Occupy, we had an occupying mass of tents and all of that outside of the Capitol, and it made a ring around the Capitol, and it had a particular name. They called this encampment. It had some homeless people, but it had a number of other people. This was in the Soglin era, and I remember walking around with Paul Soglin. He saw the encampment. Now, what was it called?
Well, first and foremost, before I don't answer your question, I would like to point out the Devil's Advocates as a radio product have only existed since 2012. So I feel like we should be exempted from Devil's Advocates. We weren't as plugged in back then. I have no idea, Joanne. That's the answer. You win because I don't know. Walkerville.
It's Walkerville.
Ah. Joanne, you get a T-shirt. Crudy got to pull one aside. She got it.
Thank you so much. I'll see you sometime. Thank you.
Thank you, Joanne. E-Bone, get her information for us, please, if you'd be so kind, and we'll send out a T-shirt, Joanne. And E-Bone, also send her a T-shirt, would you? 844-967-2789. We got the best team. Kevin from Madison. Welcome, Kevin. What do you got for us?
Hi, Kevin.
Well, I got three things. Being an HVAC guy, I solved your electrical problems, Crudy.
No, you didn't.
Is your electricity good?
No, I haven't had warm water since I got back from WAS on Monday. I have not taken like a actual shower in warm water all week, dude. It's my hot water heater. It's my water softener. I got thousands of dollars of crap going on in the basement still. Just getting the lights on, I owe you big time for. But the rest of it, all still a problem.
Okay. So now the next one is the grievance, but it's really not a grievance. I'm kind of glad Joe Biden took them documents and he put them next to his Corvette so he could make a quick getaway. And so now it's going to level the playing field in 2024 when Trump and Biden run against one another because they both took documents. All right. My trivia is back to the 2012 election. What Republican candidate was not a Mormon, but was on the borderline of being a polygamist?
Not a Mormon, but on the borderline of being a polygamist. Well, there was a Bundy.
It was close.
What's that?
It was close. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say Cliven Bundy. I know that family had some weird things, sovereign citizen stuff, and he might have had some sister wives, but are you talking? I know Mitt Romney strapped the dog on the top of the car, but I'm not sure. Who are you talking about, Kevin?
And Mitt Romney was the religion of polygamist. It was Newt Gingrich, because remember he was married to his last wife and she was dying.
Callista? No, the one before Callista, not Callista with the dead eyes.
The one, correct. It's the one before Callista. And he wanted to have an open marriage, and Callista was fine with it, but his now deceased or ex-wife did not.
Kevin?
No T-shirt for Kevin. It kind of a curveball with the Mormon thing, man. I don't know. I mean, that's more of an open marriage question.
Yeah, come on, man. Come on. Thank you all for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Have a wonderful weekend. Hapeman Brothers coming up at 7. Native Roots Radio in the meantime. Keep it locked. Civic Media. Thanks, E-Bone, for screening those calls.
It's just me and Fancy here right now.
10 years ago, we opened with a single location. We had one glassblower, that's me, and a full display of our